Neil Ferguson from Imperial College. And let's begin with you, Professor Ferguson. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, I think it was just over a week ago you said that it was almost inevitable that the final phase of unlocking would lead to 100,000 cases a day. Do you still stand by that figure?
I think it's too early to tell. I mean, the reductions we've seen at the moment are occurred really before the unlocking took place, and we won't see for several more weeks what the effect of the unlocking is. That said, I'm quite happy to be wrong if it's wrong in the right direction. If case numbers stay low, that will be very good news. I think we do have to be slightly cautious that I think probably cases are plateauing or infections in the community are plateauing, but we'll see that later this week with the latest Office of National Statistics infection survey. Positivity, the proportion of cases which test positive, only started going down very, very slightly, really. It's plateaued on the 21st of July. So we have to monitor quite a lot of different indicators to see what's going on. But as I said, it will probably take several more weeks for us to see the effect of unlocking.
But that was such a large figure, wasn't 100,000? And you also said that you couldn't rule out 200,000, although you did say that that was much less certain. And that certainly raised questions amongst other experts, not epidemiologists, but Paul Hunter, for example, professor in medicine at the University of East Anglia, said it just seemed such a big number to me, and it didn't seem to fit with what we were seeing with the epidemic as it progressed through June.
I mean, the challenge is that we have there is quite a lot of headroom in terms of how much contact rates in the population could go up. And that's what really determines the rate of transmission. That balances against immunity. And so we've been monitoring this. If it wasn't for all the immunity in the population, the R number of the virus in the last few weeks would have been 3 to 4. But that's with people still at relatively low contact rates compared with 2 years ago, for instance, same time of year. So it is, as I said at the time, it is a difficult thing to predict precisely. We will have to wait and see what happens to contact rates in the population, taking into account immunity.
So is it possible to estimate what the R number, the important reproduction number, what that's doing at the moment? So
in the presence of all the immunity you have in the population, it is probably around 1 at the current time, maybe very slightly lower in some areas of the country. The key issue is what effect will July 19th have had? And we have to layer on top of that the effect of school closure. So school closure, holidays, reduces transmission generally, but the relaxation will increase it. And at the moment, we can't judge exactly how those things are going to balance out. And we haven't seen the effect of those in any of the data so far.
Yes, and we heard on the programme yesterday that the fact that the kind of testing that goes on during school term time isn't happening at the moment, and that could be a factor in it.
Yes, as I said, I do think that it has plateaued. It's not like I don't believe that this is a complete artifact of testing, though there have been some changes to testing and testing capacity was somewhat saturated. But I think we'll see a clear plateau emerge later this week. The real issue is, will that turn into a long-term decline, which we of course all hope it will, or will we see a resurgence of particularly hospitalizations? And it's hospitalizations we want to monitor more than cases, hospitalizations and deaths as we go later into the summer and into the autumn.
And what about another factor that's suggested by Christopher Jewell of Lancaster University and others? He's an epidemiologist who sits on the modelling group. He says that some people might not want to be being tested because if they've got a holiday booked.
I mean, it's possible. There's been a lot of speculation within the scientific community because this was unexpected, this drop, about potential causes. I mean, I think perhaps more plausible is, first of all, there was a spike of infections associated with the Euros, people coming together indoors, watching television or going to the pub. And then suddenly we were knocked out of the Euros, but then also had warm weather, which led everybody to have windows open, be outside more. Those sort of factors, which are frankly almost impossible to predict, may well have had a bigger effect on transmission than changes in behaviour.
Well, let me bring in Professor Jason Leach, as I was saying, National Clinical